welcome to episode 6 of the Hey Mom podcast. My name is Megan and I go by Wool and Cottonwoods here on YouTube as well as on Instagram, and then on Ravelry it's just Wool and Cottonwood. And this is my Dear Mom podcast where I talk all about what I'm making, a little bit about life, and I continue to work through the loss of my mom. And so that's why I'm sharing with you that it's the Dear Mom podcast or the Hey Mom podcast, is because I'm talking to all of you, but it's also my little way of talking to my mom. So it's been a long time, and I thought the last time was a long time between episodes, but here we are, and today it is August 23rd, and I'm sorry it's been so long, but it has been a total whirlwind of a summer. So at the end of July, Jeffrey and I had a really big trip, and we went down to Salem, Oregon for him to compete in the 70.3 half Ironman, and Salem, Oregon is quite a ways from here. And so we ended up driving about 3,000 kilometers round trip, and we had a lovely time, but wow, it was a lot of driving. So we spent a few days, and we spent one day in Spokane, a few days in Salem, and then one day in Ellensburg, Washington, and then a few days in throughout the Okanagan before these crazy fires have started happening. And so we had a really lovely time. I liked that we had, oh, Clementine is coming to say hello. Yeah. Clementine says hello to everyone. So I really liked that we had busy, on the front half of the vacation and then relaxed on the back half of the vacation. That was something that we talked about, was that that felt really good, and that's something that we'd like to continue with our vacation planning as we kind of go through just planning different things. Busy at the beginning, relaxing at the end is a good way to go about it. So we had that. We got home we left on Thursday, July 20th, and we got home on the Saturday after, like a week and a bit later. We had Sunday to relax, a few days at home that consisted of a lot of meetings and a lot of getting stuff done for myself. Jeffrey went back to work. And then on the Friday, on the Saturday, so at this point, it's the first week of August, an August long weekend. On the Saturday, Jeffrey went to Saskatchewan with his mom for a little quick weekend trip, and I drove up to Fort St. John. So Fort St. John is where I'm originally from, and my brother and sister-in-law and their kids all drove up from the Okanagan to Fort St. John, and then I also drove up to Fort St. John, and we spent the following week cleaning out my mom's house. And I won't get into the nitty-gritty of it, but my mom had a lot of stuff. She was a diligent sale shopper, and everything that she purchased was with the best of intentions. But it meant that we had a lot to go through. Now, my dad still lives in the house. He has no intention of moving anytime soon, but it was really important to us that we clear out mom's stuff so that we can get anything that's sentimental to us. And we essentially had 4 work days, and we worked our butts off, and we got way more than what we could have expected done. It was mostly my brother and I. My sister-in-law, of course, was with the kids, and how boring would that be for that to be your summer vacation? So they ended up doing some more visiting because, of course, that's where the kids were born. Not of course, but that is where the kids were born. And so they did more visiting and more hanging out. And then we did a lot of the work, and it was a lot of work. And then one of my brother's friends helped us, and it was enormously helpful and so good. I don't know if the camera is also focusing on Clementine, but I hope so for everyone else's sakes. She's a very pretty kitty. So we were up there for a week, and then the following week, we all came back down to Lethbridge, including my brother and sister-in-law. And when we came down to Lethbridge, we had my other sisters also came down, and they're in the Edmonton area. So they came down and we had a really, really wonderful visit that consisted of lots of family meetings. My brother got to meet Jeffrey's parents, and then sisters and everything like that was really fun. And then on the Wednesday, we did a celebration of life for moms. That included, sorry if that shook the camera at all. That included burying mom and interring her at the cemetery that she wished to be interred with, her parents and her maternal grandparents. So that was really special. So we organized that, and then we also went ahead and had a big just memorial for her at my house. And so we did that, and it was just one night after the next, there was something. And so it was wonderful. Sorry if you can hear the scratching. It was wonderful, but it was a lot, and it was a lot to organize, and I was very much just in, this is what I need to do, this is what needs to get done on this day, and my sister-in-law was enormously helpful, but it was a lot. So that's been my last 4 weeks, and so everybody left on the Friday just of last week. Today is Wednesday, and everybody left on Friday, and actually they went to Megan and Trevor and the kids. My sister-in-law is also Megan. Anyways, they went to Waterton for the day, which is really fun, and I went with them, and then Jeffrey joined us when he was done work, and so we did that. There's a piece of cat hair. I can even see it out of my peripheral vision. So Jeffrey joined us, and then we camped for the night, said our goodbyes the Saturday morning. Megan, Trev, and the kids left to go and drive home. They did have to do a little bit of rerouting due to the fires, but hopefully, well, no, they got home safe. They got home fine, and hopefully everything in the Okanagan is taken care of sooner rather than later. Jeffrey and I spent another night camping out in Waterton. We ended up seeing Oppenheimer at the little tiny Waterton Theater, which was a fun experience and a fabulous, fabulous movie. I really enjoyed it. I am very politically minded, and it is a very political movie, more so than I expected. So that was pleasantly surprising, but also very late. And then getting into our tent at 3 degrees was lots of fun. But I had a nice cozy hat and knitted socks to keep me warm. So anyways, that's just a sum up since, or a quick little summary since last time that I saw you guys. So I'm sorry it's been so long, but also from the 2 weeks, like, of course I knitted lots while Jeffrey and I were driving through the United States, and what have you. I got a lot done. Got some good stuff to show you. But the last 2 weeks between me driving solo up to Fort St. John, which it's 1,200 kilometers one way. I drove solo up to Fort St. John, spent the week cleaning out my mom's house, drove solo home from Fort St. John. Not a lot of knitting happened that week. And then I was entertaining all last week. And so there wasn't really any knitting that happened last week either. So just between like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I have been blasting through a project, and I'll fill you in on that more in a little bit. But buckle up, because I've got a little table set up right over here to show you all of the things. And I don't have water, so I'm sorry if I get raspy. And I've got some notes. There's going to be no official life section. I might include a little bit of video, but you know what? I'm just going to go back to like episode 1, just single shot, say what I say, and you get what you get, and you don't get upset. So here we go. Welcome to the knitting. Let's start with what I'm wearing. This is the Ginny cardigan by Andrea Mowry, and I knitted this last 2 years ago. I don't remember. I'll stand up. So it's a wrap cardigan. There's no buttons intended. And I really like this cardigan. It's supposed to have a belt. I have knitted the belt I have knitted the belt loops. I have not attached the belt or the belt loops. And I think I probably should, but that's another story for another day. So if you see me doing this, that's why. It's because I don't have anything to keep it closed. But I really enjoy this cardigan. It's made using Harrisville nightshades in the colorway Last Call. So it looks black, but it has this light, well, and of course it's getting pretty blown out. But it has this light blue blended into it that you can see in and amongst the cat hair. My apologies, but that is how it is. I should probably give this sweater a really good clean, another wash and a clean, but that's fine. And yes, I'm wearing it. I'm wearing navy and then black, and then I'm wearing navy leggings because it's summer and I'm gonna take advantage of wearing leggings as long as I possibly can. I have colleagues that wear leggings. It's not really my jam. That's okay. Might have to be this year for the first few months because I've gained some weight through everything, and I expect I'll probably drop that weight pretty quickly once the school year starts. I'm not too worried about it, but yeah, my dress pants don't really fit at the moment, and I don't want to buy new ones because I think this is temporary, so we'll see. There might be more skirts and dresses and leggings than normal, and that's okay. We can embrace that. So I said we were getting onto the knitting. Let's get on to the knitting. Love this cardigan. This was the beginning of my journey of knitting things a size smaller than what my best size would typically dictate. I believe I've talked about this on the podcast before, but my best ranges anywhere from 38 to 40 inches. But my waist is 30 to 31, sometimes 32, it's probably 32 right now. And so I have a really big bust compared to my waist ratio. And so everything, all of our knitted garments are mostly dictated off of what our bust measurement is. But the ease that I get from my bust measurement isn't necessarily the same ease that I get from my waist measurement. And so I was just noticing that everything was just looking and feeling really oversized, right? I wear a size medium normally day to day, and so I'm used to things being tighter across my bust, but then fitting me everywhere else. And so kind of I had cast on knit the yoke in the size 3 of this pattern, and it just felt really big, it felt really gapey, and that wasn't what I was going for. So I ended up ripping it all out. After it having been in hibernation for a really long time, I re-knitted in the size 2, and I'm really happy with the feel. It might be a little bit too tight, and that might be why I always want to do this, but whatever, c'est la vie. I'm guessing, hello Clementine. I'm guessing I won't last very long in this because the house is starting to warm up. It's right around lunchtime. But I need to keep talking because Jeffrey's gonna be getting home from lunch in 25 minutes, or for lunch in 25 minutes. Sorry about the fluffs you're seeing flying. It is what it is. Okay, so the first thing I have to show you is something that has not come out of its project bag in 4 weeks since Jeffrey and I left for Oregon. And that's okay. So this is my Smooky by Kate Davies Designs. And I do not remember where I was on this in the last episode, but I'm really excited. Clementine. Sorry, everybody. Let's fix this. I'm sure you're gonna wish that I edit this episode, but no, you stay away from there. You stay away from there. Sorry. I'm really excited because I can hold this up normally for you. And you can see all of that beautiful texture just coming up so gorgeously. And I'm really, really excited for this sweater. So yeah, I have no idea where I was last episode, but I finished the main part of the body and have separated to do the fronts and the backs. It's a drop shoulder design. So you can see here, I've done about 2 inches. And I'm really happy with how it's going. I'm a little nervous because I have no idea where I am in the pattern. We'll see. I'm knitting this on 4mm. Yes, 4mm needles, and I'm using Hedgehog Fibres Tweedy. I've got a bajillion skeins of it in my knitting bag. And if you want to hear the saga about my helical knitting and what this yarn used to be knitted into, etc., feel free to go ahead and watch my past episodes. But yeah, I'm not helical knitting, but I am alternating skeins because I'm using 2 different dye lots, and that's okay. I'm loving this pattern. I'm loving the way that it's written. It's very simple. The charts are really easy to follow. She writes in such a style. I'm assuming it's kind of more of the traditional, like, European style of writing patterns. Yeah, this has got to go. But it's very simple. There's not a lot of extra information, which means you do have to kind of, you know, just make things work. You kind of have to not fudge it, but you have to draw your own conclusions and make the patterns work for you. So that's a little bit of what you have to do in this pattern, but being a very experienced knitter, I'm really enjoying that experience. So as you can see, gigantic amounts of positive ease, which is lovely, but it's soft and it's cozy, and I'm really excited to have this. I don't know if I've said yet, but Jeffrey and I are going to Scotland for Christmas. Really pumped about that. And this will be done by Scotland for sure at this rate. But I haven't worked on it a bunch since the last episode. I'm assuming that over the next few weeks I'll get back to it. And really, I knit the front, I knit the back, I attach them, or I do shoulder shaping, I attach them, and then I do sleeves. And the sleeves are just stockinette. There's no texture in that, so they are going to fly. I'll talk about this more when I get to my last project that I'm going to share with you today, but I really like to fly through sleeves just because I find it so much more effective to just sit down and get them done. So I don't really get stuck on Sleeve Island because I don't let myself get stuck on Sleeve Island. I'm a little too impatient for that. This project is in my Bainbridge tote by that crafty little fox. She's out of somewhere in the States, Washington, Oregon. I'm probably wrong. But I love this tote because it's narrow on top, but it has so much space in the bottom. It's got a denim bottom, big pockets on the sides, no pockets on the inside, but it's just kind of a big empty dump bag. And I find stuff doesn't fall out with the way that the top is narrower than the bottom. So really enjoy this one. And yeah, that is my Smooky by Kate Davies Designs. Next is my Inclination Cowl. So I warned you last time that this was going to be a slow going project, and has been. I've kind of just been plunking away at it as we go along. But I did quite a bit of work on this when we were traveling to Waterton just last weekend. And so I got quite a bit done. I'm really quite happy with it. So I'm just got to the final section where you decrease, but I'm assuming this is going to take quite a bit of time. And I'm okay with that. It's creating just a beautiful, lush, squishy fabric that I've talked about many a time. I'm using gorgeous yarn by Lily and Pine. One is a farm yarn that she got spun at Rosebud Mills. Come on. So yeah, she got this spun at Rosebud Mills and then dyed it in her lipstick colorway. And then the second one is her Elm Sport, which is dyed in her pink champagne colorway. Talked about these many a time. I'm loving both of these yarns, and I'm loving how they're playing together. Now, I've got a fair bit of knitting left and not a ton of yarn left. So I did pick up an extra skein of the, they're somewhere over here, an extra skein of the Elm Sport on the pink champagne. And then because this was a small batch yarn, she didn't have any more, which is fine. So I got the Birch Sport on the lipstick colorway, and I think it'll blend pretty easily. Actually, I'll grab it. The yarn took the dye a little bit differently, but it is 1x1 stripes with the pink champagne. I'm not too fussed by it. I think there will be a line. I think it will be visible. Like there's quite a bit more, like there's a few more blotches of kind of orangey pinks included in here, but I'm not worried about it. So I'm really digging this, and I'm really digging this because of everything Barbie that has come out. And I am kind of calling this my Barbie cowl. And I didn't do this intentionally, but I'm just super jazzed with how it's working up and how the stripes are looking and how that pink is just totally popping. My plans are to have the cowl, but then also I've got lots of the pink champagne. And I've got it on, oh no. Oh, I just got a stitch. I'll have to fix that later. I'll fix it. It'll go back in, it's fine. I'm just gonna do it right now. Put a little stitch marker on there. No, I'll leave it. But yeah, I'll figure it out. I don't think, no, I didn't rip anything. Sorry about that. But the pink champagne, I've got quite a few skeins of it, and I'm planning on making an Oslo hat for the winter, as well as a pair of tinsel mitts or World's Simplest mittens. I haven't decided whether I want them to be convertible mittens. I've made myself a pair of convertible mittens every other year, and I get so much wear out of them. So I'm thinking that's probably what I'll do. But at the same time, it'd just be nice to have a pair of simple mittens that aren't convertible. I don't know. Thoughts? Comment down below. Convertible mittens or plain mittens. But I'm going to do that in the pink champagne colorway and kind of make it a cohesive set. So I'm very excited about that. That's my Inclinations cowl. Next is my DRK Everyday Socks, made, well, by Andrea Mowry, made in the Regia sock yarn. It's not perfect. It's just their sock yarn, and it does its own little color fading thing. Now, I do have one already done. I don't know where it is. That's what happens when you've been on a bajillion trips this summer. But I also honestly forgot to look for it. So this is the, yeah, DRK Everyday Sock. I'm making mine out of the 60 stitch sock. It's 2x2 rib. It fits fabulously. This is a work of love because they fit great, but I hate making them. That's okay. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I might make more after this. I might take a break. I might play with some other ribbed sock options, but I am going to finish this. So I knit from like here to here in Oppenheimer on Saturday night. So I do have one or two places where just my rib is a little bit, I don't know if that's going to pick it up. Yeah, my rib's a little bit messed up, but frankly, I don't give a damn. So I just stopped when I figured I was close to where I was going to need to put in the heel. So yeah, I need to do some counting. I need to do some measuring. I need to do some healing. But this would be really good for meetings next week. So I go back to school next week. And it's 5 days of PD, which my admin is really good. They typically do give us quite a bit of work time in the first week. However, there's a lot of meetings too, and my admin is really supportive of me knitting during those meetings because they know I'm paying attention far more than I would be if I was on my phone or doing other stuff. So I'm really, really happy to have this, and I should definitely just get the heel started. If I can get the heel started, then I'm good to cruise. So yeah, those are my DRK Everyday Socks. I'm excited to have them done. I'm excited to go on to more of a vanilla sock pattern because 2x2 rib is just boring, and it takes a lot of time. Yeah. Oh, 2.25 millimeter sock needle, typical. My Inclinations cowl was on 3.25 millimeter needle. It's a size or two up from what the pattern calls for, but I'm using yarn that's a little bit bigger, so that's okay. Next is my, oh, I'm excited to show you this. This is my Guernsey wrap by Jared Flood, and this is for Jeffrey. And I've gotten quite a bit of work done since the last podcast. So I do believe that this stitch marker right here, which is from Lolly with Ocean Loops, is where I was at the last podcast. And this Guernsey wrap, I'm really enjoying how this yarn is showing the texture. The yarn I am using is Rerum Natura Gilliat in the color Forêt. I'm really loving how this is working up, and I'm really loving how it's showing the texture. So I have some more plans with this yarn, and this is just really, ooh, that's a good shot. This is just really giving me a lot of faith for that. So once again, haven't worked on this in over a month, but what I was doing is I was, there's a lot of cat hair on this bag. What I was doing is I was knitting and reading. So I was working through the A Court of Thorn and Roses by Sarah J. Maas series. I'm sure you've heard about it. I've been really enjoying it. I read through book 2. I'm now on a book club book, which is a little bit harder to knit and read. Maybe I just need to like up my text size, but I don't want to up my text size because then it ups my page count on my Kobo. But it's also due next week. Book club's next week at my house. So as the host and as the person who chose the book, I probably should have it read. So maybe there'll be a whole lot more work on this. This is not for a specific celebration. I have something else planned for him for Christmas, and his birthday's in March. So this might just be a just because I love you knit. Who knows? He's been really patient with me all this year. He's just so fabulous. So yeah, we will see. But that's my Guernsey wrap by Jared Flood. I would strongly recommend this pattern. It is fabulous. It is squishy. It is going to be so much fun. And pretty mindless because it's just knits and purls, and it's always 2x2, whether it's the ribbing or I don't know what you call that. It's not moss stitch. It's not, maybe it is moss stitch. Or if it's the diagonal lines, it's all just 2x2. And so once you kind of get yourself set up for the round, you just go, and then you're done. But it's only like 11 rounds of each thing, and then you change. So we're gonna play it by ear and see how it goes. Maybe I just need to do more knitting and reading. But we are finally on to the reason that I've gotten almost nothing done on any of my other projects, and also the reason that I haven't been able to knit and read. And that is because, thanks to Knit a Good Yarn or A Good Yarn podcast, I'm blanking on their names. They're 2 ladies in Canada who are both psychologists. Anyways, they were talking about the pressed flowers cardigan. And I got inspired. I got really, really inspired. And so I dropped everything else and knit a pressed flowers cardigan, and I'm almost done. All I have left to do is picking up the button band and knitting the button band, and I don't even think I'm putting buttons on my button band because I think this is just going to be a cardigan that I wear at work. And so I started this. The Pressed Flowers cardigan is by Savory Knitting. I need to say that before I forget, because otherwise I will forget. So the pattern is by Savory Knitting, and it is just gorgeous. It is all mosaic knitting. And I cast this on. I swatched. I hadn't even swatched. And it was so funny because in the days prior to us leaving for our Oregon trip, I'd cast on, I'd cast on a hat. I had swatched with something else. I was feeling restless. I was feeling like I wanted to do something else. And so I was going ahead and casting on, or trying to cast on all of these things. And then I just said, you know what? Screw it. I'm going to do what I want to, even if it's not something small. And so, and I didn't want to take the Smooky because it was going to be hot, and it was hot. And I didn't want that sitting on my lap while we were traveling, which ended up being a great decision. So I cast this on. I swatched for it while we were in the car. I just put the yarn in my bag and went for it that way. So I swatched. I did not block my swatch. So we'll see. And when I put it on, you'll see that that might have been a poor choice. Sorry, just listening. That might have been a poor choice, but that's okay. So yeah, you see here that I've got almost everything done, and it's been about a month. So that's pretty good. The pattern itself has been beautifully written, not a single mistake. Everything's been fabulous. And the yarn that I've used has been really special because the main color that I'm using is, I've had a lot of gray things, so I didn't want gray. So I wanted a nice like beige, and this turned out to be perfect. It is Berroco Lanas Light. It's 100% wool. It's made from a combination of different South American wools. It's manufactured in Peru, and it's a perfect 2-ply sport weight. So it's got 383 yards. Yeah, 383 yards per 100 grams. And it has just worked up absolutely beautifully at that sport weight gauge, which is very exciting because one of my other go-to sport weight yarns. Bonnie's doing something. I'll be right back. I'm back. I was so determined to not edit this podcast. And then there was Bonnie. So I was talking about my pressed flowers cardigan and the Berroco Lanas. So one of my other favorite sport weight yarns to knit with is Brooklyn Tweed Peary, but that is getting discontinued. So although this is a worsted weight, or not a worsted weight, sorry, it's a sport weight, but it is a woolen spun, and Peary is very much a worsted spun. Very different in that regard, but that's okay. This is just, it's nice to have another good quality sport weight yarn, and this is less than half the price. So I'll take that. They do also have like a DK worsted, and it's just Berroco Lanas. I've never worked with that. I'd be excited to try that out. But yeah, really enjoying this. And one of the reasons that it's so special is one of the organizations that I work with is called the Alberta Kodai Association, and it works to further professional development for music educators and quality pedagogy in the province of Alberta. If you understood part of that, good for you. And I don't need to get into that. But when Mom passed, they pooled a bit of money to buy me flowers. And the president, she's a lovely, lovely human. She decided to give me a yarn gift card, a gift card for Stash in Calgary instead, which was perfect. I'm very impressed that she knew me that well. Like, of course, she knows I'm a knitter. I'm always knitting during our meetings, but to that extent was fun. Was very, very fun. And so, like, that she knew that I shopped at Stash was just, it was all perfect. So I bought this Berroco Lanas with that gift card. And so just the fact that I used this, the money that was supposed to be for the flowers for me when Mom passed, the fact that I used that money to buy this, and then I used this to make my pressed flowers cardigan, is just, I really like that kind of poetry behind it. So the money that they ended up buying yarn with, but we're going to buy flowers with, ended up turning into flowers anyways. So I just really like that. So yeah, the colorway that I used is called Steel Cut Oats, and it's that perfect grayish shade. It's not too gray. It's not too brown. It's warm, which I think is going to be much better for my skin tone than just gray. So I'm excited to have a cardigan in that. Now, the contrast color is, of course, the pièce de résistance, and that is Spincycle dyed in the wool in the colorway Devlish Grin. Now, Devlish Grin is the colorway I'm pretty sure Andrea Mowry used in her Cinnabar shawl, or in another one of the shawls. I'm sure Cinnabar is what she used in her Cinnabar shawl. But it's usually very, very red, and like just different shades of red. And I was shopping around for some Spincycle to actually go with a light blue yarn that I've got. And I was looking for something with lots of red, and I messaged Art of Yarn, which is in Kelowna, and they've got really good Spincycle selection. And I was looking for red, and they sent this as an option. And I was just so blown away by the pinks and the purples and the oranges and the yellows. And this is, I needed 4 skeins. This is skein 4, and I've just eked into it for the last sleeve. So I probably could have gotten away with 3 had I used my swatch for the yarn, but that's neither here nor there. And I just love this shade, and I'm so excited by how it worked out throughout the cardigan. So I'm just gonna shut up for a moment and put in a little bit of music, and I'm gonna show you just how the colors worked up as best as I can. I'm just gonna show you on the back, it's much easier. So this cardigan is bottom up. And so the fade is just so yummy and gorgeous. And I didn't care about my sleeves matching, but I did want these two, my 2 fronts, to match. So when I needed to separate for sleeves, I ended up doing 2 flowers, like 2 rows of flowers, and then 2 rows of flowers, and then 2 rows of flowers, and then 2 rows of flowers until I was done. And so they ended up being pretty close, which I'm very happy with. And then my sleeves are very much sisters, not twins. This one's very reds and purples and not focusing, sorry. And then this one is very pinks, which is just so much fun. So I'm in love with this. I'm thinking and hoping that it's gonna relax quite a bit when I block it. So it's pretty snug. I knit the 42-inch size, so I should have a few inches of positive ease once it's done. But as of right now, that is not the case. I've also knit my sleeves a little bit more on the bracelet length side. And if they end up being this short, I'm okay with that. But if they end up extending right to my wrist bone, I'd also be okay with that. So I'm excited to have my button band knitted. That's going to be my next step. And then I have a meeting with this organization on Saturday. And so I'm hoping on having it done by then. We'll see. I can get the button band done in a day and then block it Friday. And we're at Saturday morning. Not planning on adding buttons. I'll still do the buttonholes, so that's an option. And I'm thinking that this is going to be a sweater that I just leave at work. And it's just my cozy up sweater. We'll see. But that's my pressed flowers cardigan. I'm sure I've rambled a lot, but considering that it's new since the last podcast, I'm okay with that too. So yeah, have you knit any of the pressed flowers items? There's a pullover, there's a hat, there's a shawl. I used barely 3 skeins. This is skein 3. 3 skeins. 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 3 I'm gonna maybe use 20 grams out of it. I bought 4 skeins, so I'm gonna be fine. And then, yeah, like I said, I just tapped into the 4th skein of my Spincycle. So I'm planning on making a hat, one of the Pressed Flowers hats, because why not? Just as a little palette cleanser later down the road. So this is what has taken up so much of my knitting time, and it has been delightful. So I'm gonna move on for my Pressed Flowers cardigan. I'm gonna talk about 2 projects just really, really briefly. Oh, Pressed Flowers cardigan. I knitted on 3.75 millimeter needles, which is what it called for. Like I said, I don't know what it's gonna do when I block it. It might grow. It's not gonna shrink, but I'm guessing it's gonna grow because of the texture. But we'll see. It's all gonna be a surprise. I'll probably post about it on Instagram. Follow me on Instagram. Okay, so 2 projects that have kind of been in hibernation, but I'm gonna be doing, I like to do this every once in a while. I end up doing it maybe once a year, maybe twice a year, and just a little whip down. So it's time for a whip down because I have 5 active whips and 2 hibernating whips. And we're coming into Christmas, and I'm not gonna be doing Christmas knitting like I have in the past, but I don't wanna feel torn between my different projects. So I'm gonna really aggressively, it's probably gonna take me, for my active whips, I'm guessing it's gonna take me about 3 weeks, 4 weeks to get through those. And then the 2 hibernating whips, one of them is 60% done and the other one's like 20% done. So we'll see. But I want to get most of them done. There's only like one of the hibernating whips I'll be okay if I don't get to it, and maybe that'll be my January project. But there are sweaters that I want to knit for Christmas. And there's a few hats that I want to knit for Christmas. I'm keeping things pretty simple this year, but yeah, for context, I knit like 20 or 30 gift knit items last Christmas. So that's not my plan this year. But at the same time, I want to clear the needles so that I just don't need to worry about it. So let's get into the 2 hibernating whips. One of them you've seen before on the podcast, and that is my TurtleDove 2. This is by Espace Tricot. And here's where we are at. It's real hard to show. But it's just a nice big oversized sweater, turtleneck, hence the TurtleDove. I'm assuming that's where it came from. And I'd really like to have this one done for winter because I think it's just going to be nice and big and cozy. Could see myself wearing this when I'm in Scotland. And it's nice because of the construction of the yarn, it doesn't take up much room in the suitcase. That's my one gripe about hand knits, is they always take up so much room in the suitcase. So I don't really want to travel with them, but like, who doesn't want to wear hand knits when you're in Scotland? Just saying. So, TurtleDove. I'm excited to get working on this again. I think it's gonna fly. I don't know how much I have left to knit on the body. I'm guessing it's from that stitch marker to there. Guessing I've got about 6 inches, 7 inches done on the body. So we'll see how much further I wanna go. There's a split hem, so that's always deceptive. I've got a grand total of 3 and a bit skeins left, so I should probably pick up the sleeves and do that, and then I'll just knit the body to however long I need to knit the body. We'll see. TurtleDove. I'd like to get it done. TurtleDove 2. Different gauges. They just released a Sonder Yarn Co., who used to be Espace Tricot. Melissa, I think is her name. She just released a TurtleDove cardigan. I don't know if I would knit that, but I'm really enjoying the pullover, and I think I'm really going to get a lot of wear out of it as the pullover. And then my last long hibernating whip is, okay, I don't even have 20% of it done. This is going to be a Pink Fizz. It was going to be a birthday cast on for my 29th birthday, which was in October last year. You can see I've just finished the hem and just started the lace panel. if it'll focus. There we go. I'm using the color Blushing Bride by Frankie Gray Fibres. I've got 3 skeins of each the fingering weight wool as well as the mohair. Hoping it's going to be enough. We'll find out. I am knitting the size 2 in this instead of the size 3, so we'll see. But yeah, if I feel like picking this up again, great. If I don't, great. I'm just going to kind of go with the flow and see what strikes me. But I've got the massive split hem done, so that's great. And then yeah, the lace panel, we'll see if my brain can handle it, or maybe this will be what I pick up in February. You can see I've salvaged the ends from it because I needed to salvage my 4mm tips. So that's what I did there. So we'll see, but I just wanted to give you a full picture of what I've got because I'm going to be posting a picture of my whip down and then updating as I make progress, as I get stuff done. So I wanted you to just kind of see what all of those things were before I go ahead and post that on Instagram. So I think that's all. I kind of filled you in about life mostly at the beginning. Go back to work next week. I felt really ready in July. I feel a little bit less ready after the last 2 weeks of craziness, but that's okay. I think I'll be ready. And if I'm not, I have a lot of tools in place to help myself so that I can handle it, because I can handle it, because I am strong AF. So yeah, wish me luck. And I don't know when I'm going to come back. Maybe it'll be in 2 weeks. I've got a lot planned in the weekends in September. This weekend we're going camping with a friend after my Saturday morning meeting. The weekend after, I'm going to the Canmore Highland Games to volunteer. Jeffrey and I are going. And then, yeah, like weekend after that, Jeffrey's running a half marathon in Drumheller. Weekend after that, I think I'm running a 5K, supposedly. Or maybe that's another weekend after. But anyways, we're doing a race in Pincher Creek. Jeffrey signed me up for the 5K. Have I been running? No. It's going to be okay, though. I can run a 5K untrained. It's all good. It'll be good for me. And then, yeah. And then October is my birthday month. And we're going to do a trip to Kananaskis for that, because it's going to be the big 3-0. So I'm very excited. But yeah, that's what's up. Wish me luck with school. It's going to be great. I'm really excited to see the kids again. And I hope you're all doing well. I hope you're all taking care of yourselves. And I hope you're all taking care of each other. And this has been episode 6 of the Hey Mom podcast. And thanks for hanging out with me. Thanks for hanging out with my mom's esprit, her spirit. And keep knitting and have a lovely day. See you soon. Bye.